Clash of Clans podcast, special episode number 26, Phantom Warlord. And we're back with the fans of the clans of the friends of the friends. Hey, it's Scotty. I'm back, and I'm here with
Matt.
Phantom Warlord.
Yep.
The infamous Phantom Warlord, who we talk about all the time on the podcast, and especially with Boaz. And we try not to. We were talking about what we should, refer to you as, and
you referred to me first as Matt, and that's my main account, so that's perfectly fine.
And then and the tentacles,
right.
That I think it was dubbed the Phantom Warlord Chronicles, because there's some really great stories that come up or that you show online. So. Right. It'd be cool to talk about some of that. The famous infiltration by the Phantom Warlord. Is he in your clan or isn't he?
Every time I'm there and they've never heard of the podcast and they've never heard of the Phantom Warlord, and then I use that to exploit and have a lot of fun doing it.
They won't forget it.
No, I doubt they will.
Live in infamy.
Right.
So we finally get you on to tell the stories because, here's the thing. This isn't, it happens sometimes more often than others, and do you look at the clans and you go, that's a clan I can get into, or what do you, because sometimes you're spying and sometimes you're.
First off, if they're closed, it's a wasted effort. It's not even worth doing. If they're open, then I'm going over there for sure. How many trophies it takes to get in there, sometimes that's tricky as far as getting the other accounts up high. My second account is now at 2,600, so and that's just by playing defense. So getting that one over, normally it's not too hard. How I knew Boaz beforehand, and I made a mention to him, and he mentioned it way back on the podcast, was nobody really rejects a pretty superpowered Town Hall 10. So getting to go over to one of these war clans, especially at the beginning, they wanted as much firepower as they could have. So getting in was even easier back then.
Well, what do you say? Because, okay, I think this was in the Kryptonian family online chat, but people were saying, do you think spying is cheating? And this came up during a period where I can't really remember what was going on, but Boneyard thought maybe it was cheating,
right?
Which surprised the shit out of me, first of all. But second of all, I was like, is it? And I thought right at the beginning, we decided no, infiltration's part of war.
Yes, it is.
But what would you say to people that say that that's cheating?
If you're not looking out for it, you're kind of being silly. And that's why at first, when I first joined, I was always screening every single person that came in and saying, look, I don't like that this base's flags match exactly where the other guy's flags are. And just looking for little things that people aren't thinking about as far as their placement of different things. So the stuff that you wouldn't normally change around if you were going to rotate your base around. Okay. So that's the type of stuff that I look at when there's people trying to come over. Now that we have the password, if we're going to be the easiest clan to spy upon, because all they got to do is say the magic words and they're in.
But what? We don't really say it that often on the podcast.
That's true.
So I guess maybe what we should just do is save it towards the end. Only say it at the end.
Sure.
Because that way
they have to listen to the whole episode and you got to be a fan.
Yeah. There you go. You got it. And I think that Clan Oregon, they were saying, oh, you have a podcast. Somebody wrote in and said, now I have something to listen to or whatever.
Right.
But,
yeah. So it's some of the times the stuff is rather funny. Their reactions to the stuff. There was there's so many of them.
I know, that's the thing. And we do it and I guess my point right away was that we do this 3 times a week. And so when me and Boneyard sit down to do it, or me and Boaz, I'm going, this might have happened twice or 3 times. And there's always really good stories.
Right.
Because you do it all the time.
Yeah. Well, now that we're up at 50, it makes it tougher too. So if we're under 50, as far as the wars are concerned, because this clan here, they didn't let up they had 50 in there until the very end. By then it was too late, because it was pretty much over there at the end.
So we just got out of a war, and I'll just give a little preface. Actually, maybe if you know what the name is right off the bat.
I've got to pull it up here too.
It was 109 to 103.
Right.
It was close. I failed this war hardcore. I got 0 stars.
Yep. I thought I was going to get number 4 for sure, but it was way tougher than I thought it was.
Yeah.
So.
And I went in on it, and I misdropped the lightning, and I thought it was my rage because that was my plan.
Mm-hmm.
So I did that. That screwed up. It screwed up the clan castle. But I think I rushed it, and, you know, it almost would have worked. And I saw that with your attack, too, that I was like, that should have worked. We both hit number 4.
Yep.
And Dirty Pirate hit number 4. And it was like, I went and looked at the bomb placements, and I was looking to see if any traps sprung up and things like that. And then I went in, and it just, I don't know. It was I did the Velk Giant Wizard combo that I've been running, and it works really well most of the time. I don't know. It was tough.
And I was looking at it differently. I was looking at it just to get the base stars because we were already out of it by that point. And I was going for the 50, trying to get the stuff on the outside, but that just didn't work either.
Yeah, I thought if I hit, so the base was structured where it was kind of like I don't know.
It's kind of shaped like a letter A.
Yeah.
And there's been a lot of those lately.
The birthing canal base where you've kind of got that bottom, like, where there's stuff where you can wander around and you go, well, where are the bombs? Do they put this here? Is this too good to be true? Kind of thing.
Right.
And I thought if I could just get in there to the very center, at least I could get the town hall. Mm-hmm. And I thought the one jump would push it over the 50.
Right.
But I debated on the spells. I almost brought 2 heals instead of 2 heals, a freeze, a rage, and a jump.
Right.
Because I've been doing that in the normal attacks. I did bring in lightning because I knew there was a witch in there. So, I don't know. Yeah, it was.
And that's probably why I screw up a lot of attacks because the clan castle, I don't even pay attention to it. I go in there, freeze them, and try to get the troops in there to get drawn to them and kill them that way.
Do you think it's better to plan, or do you think it's better to just go in?
It's better to plan for sure. But just that little slim sliver of overthinking it, and I have a habit of doing that way too much.
See, and that's what I thought about my attacks today. I thought I spent more time scouting today of my attacks that I completely failed, and I think it's because the moment something goes wrong, I go, oh, wait, things aren't, I'm not putting the stuff in there and seeing what happens and adapting. I'm kind of going, here's my plan. And I was starting to wonder that today. I was like, in the regular attacks, I get 30 seconds. I look at the base. I go, I think I can do this. I send them in at, at that glance and where I think they would go. And, I don't know. Thoughts?
Yeah. The thing, I'm a little bit behind as far as catching up on the podcast, and it's just because I have a very short drive to work right now.
Which is a good problem to have.
Especially in the snow over here where I live. And so I was listening to the one with you and Boaz, and you were talking about watching the YouTube thing with the One Hive, as far as using that to help base what you're doing. But you also mentioned about the skeleton traps and how those are pulling things away and everything. I think that's something we need to research a little bit more.
Yeah. You've noticed this too.
Yes. Been noticing that a lot because it just, you could have the last clan that we went up over the weekend where they didn't care and they let us take everything from them. Put the archers over there by the town hall, and I put down like 15 of them, and these skeletons are just coming out there just ripping them apart. Okay. And distracting them and everything else.
So let's give somebody a basis for that. Now we're kind of talking about we're talking about the skeleton traps. If you're kind of new to listening to the podcast, you would go, all right, skeleton traps haven't always been around. Right. And so they were introduced a while ago. Was it the fall or was it? I can't remember.
With that update there, I
No,
didn't really pay attention to the release date.
Yeah, it was a while ago, but we all of a sudden started seeing them like pull minions halfway across a base or move weird, and I thought it was maybe because people are finally deciding to upgrade them.
Sure.
I don't know. Is it, or do you think AI changed, or?
It could be an AI shift. I really don't know because I have not learned them yet. That's why I was saying I need to research those things a little bit more.
Okay. Yeah, I just wondered, do we just not notice it before, or everybody had them on a certain thing? I don't know.
That number 4 base, they had level 4 or level 4 or level 5 Teslas in there, and I thought for sure this is going to be easy. I just got to get the Pikas in there, and boom, we're good.
Yeah.
But no, they got distracted. They went elsewhere, and they got pulled away, and then they got eaten up by the Infernos. So
another question I have for you, just right off the top of my head, is what do you do with your war base? Do you change it? Do you experiment, or do you find a base, or do you just make one out yourself?
I created that pretty much from the get-go. I started playing about 2 weeks after the game came out, and I put that together. I haven't been 3-starred since I'd say August 2013, back when hogs were decent as far as being able to go in a 3-star.
Clash of Clans community.
Yep.
Right.
So, yep. Except for the troll base that I made for the war.
Oh yeah, that's
but
right.
I did. But that was a practice war, and I did that one on purpose just to screw with everybody online chat, saying, "Oh my God, these guys are really good. Look, they 3-starred me already."
Oh my God, yeah, that's cool. Boneyard got 3-starred tonight in the war.
Oh, we did. Wow.
Yeah, if you're listening when this went up, Boneyard was talking about his uber hard war, and I can't wait to hear about this because I only saw just a little bit of it.
Okay.
But he said it was going to be a really tough war, and his impenetrable base got 3-starred.
Wow. Do you know what number he is on their list?
3 or 4.
3 or 4. Okay.
The last I asked him about it. So they lost. He said that they had iModders.
But how do you ever really know that?
He said somebody came out and said that. I don't know. I think we've gotten matched up so many times with people that are like over our heads, like outnumbered in House of L, right? Like twice as many Town Hall 10s. Mm-hmm. And we went up against them and gotten close.
Right.
And we could have said, and this is not saying anything against Saab, but yeah, I think your point is, honestly, how do you tell if they're iModders or they're just really good?
Right. Well, the mailman likes to say that if we lose, they're fucking cheaters, and if we win, they sucked. So, and I think that's perfect because you never know what somebody's using. I mean, there could be somebody in our
iModders.
Yeah, well, there could be somebody in our clan that's using iMod too, and how would you ever really know?
No,
you would just think the person's talented.
I wish it was awesome. I mean, like I've never tried it, but
my son
had
had
to do it. I'm too lazy to do it, I think.
And honestly, I am too. Yeah. My son had it because he was with us for a little while, and he was using it when it first came out. And I was like, "How the hell are you doing this?" And he was saying, "Well, I've got this thing here." And then I heard Boaz talking about it later, and he had shown me where it's all written in kanji, and because I think it's a Japanese app, maybe it's Chinese, but he would go in there and he'd pick he'd put down he wanted a base for 400,000 of gold. Wow. And it would only search for bases that had that much gold on them. And I was like, oh my God. I was like, Ozzy, you can be Town Hall 10 in about 2 weeks. You're just gonna have to boost up the builders as far as when they start building stuff. I was like, this thing's awesome. I thought it was really, really cool. I didn't want to get it because I saw what happens when he had done that hack for the iPod a long time ago, and I saw how much it slowed it down, and I was like, no, the jailbreaking. I was like, I'm not
jailbreak.
Then you're opening yourself up to just having a really shitty iPad after that. So, yeah, I told him, I was like, no, you're being silly by doing this. After I realized what he had to do to get it.
Right. You would just think that honestly, with a game like Clash of Clans, as you describe it to me, and talk about it, I was thinking, that's a big security flaw,
Sure.
to be able to
Sure.
do that. Like, yeah, we wouldn't put up with that in normal life,
No, not at all.
So, okay, so the
So
Phantom Warlord.
back to the Boaz thing I was bringing up before.
Sorry.
The
I have
no,
a
no,
habit
it's
of interrupting.
and I have ADD too, so it's not a big deal at all.
I spent that time 3 hours with Boneyard last night, not getting to talk very much. So I have a lot to say. No, okay,
Gotcha, understood. The with Boaz, when you guys first did like an advertisement for the Minnesota Nice 2.0, I went over to go check that out and see what that was like. And my son went over at the same time too, and he was telling me, he's like, "Hey, there's a guy in there that said he was part of the clan or was part of the podcast." And I listened to it and I was like, "Okay, that's him." So I started talking to him, and back then even I had already had the second account, and I was spying back then. I think I had 4 accounts by that point. One of them was my son's that he just wasn't ever using, so I just used that for drag attacks back then. But
was that N2?
yes, that would be that one.
Okay,
And since he's actually taken that one back, so but yeah, I went over to Minnesota Nice 2.0. I was liking it. There's just a couple of things that kind of irked me about it, and there was Boaz actually. He was with Jungle Insider there, and he ended up leaving. And everything was going nice and smooth, but then all of a sudden there was one war where I think I had almost all my accounts in there, and racked up 22 stars for the clan, and I think we lost by 1 or 2. And then there's one jackass who didn't attack at all, and it was about the 3rd or 4th war in a row where he didn't attack. He comes on the moment the war's over, and I said, "Why didn't you attack?" And he said, "Well, because I have a life." And I said, and you get
oh
on right
man,
as soon as the war's over, and and that was enough for me. I said, "Okay, screw it." And I had my main clan that I had been running for about a year at that point in time, so I went back over to them. Didn't like how the wars were going there. We were the matchups in L are pretty much the exact same type of matchups we were having there too, and went over and Boneyard had that thing before about you get 10 bases and you put them in there and you do just make a war clan, and I took that idea and I ran with it, and 2 of the guys that came over there with me followed me over to L as well too, and that'd be Wild Streak and Cole.
okay,
Cole's disappeared. Wild Streak's still there with us,
yep.
and
Every war he's there.
oh yeah, and but yeah, those 2 came over from my original clan. We made a war clan, and we were doing pretty good with that. And those things were tough as well too. I was spying for us back then as well, and 10 on 10 is kind of interesting because I mean it is our wars. There's room for error with having 40 to 45. There's margin for error. There's margin to grow people, but for those wars there when it's 10 on 10, there's really not much
Right.
margin for error at all.
A
So
star
unless
is a star, like a huge.
oh yeah,
Right.
oh yeah, yep. Any base you have to attack twice, especially the bottom ones, you're pretty much screwed on that. So
And then you were in the clan since the beginning.
yeah, I came over, yeah, pretty
Yeah.
much as soon as I got to that podcast and I was hearing you guys talk about it. I tried going over to Zod first, and I got in there, but the Matt account, because that was the first one, and I got Matt in there, but it wasn't eligible for war.
You were in
because
both clans
and I was in
for the war,
Yes.
the L versus Zod war,
yes,
and that was only 3 weeks after L started.
oh yeah,
So,
oh yeah. I took off. I think I dropped. I'm a chief in real life, and I've mentioned that in the clan a few times. Where I'm active duty Navy, and when that thing happened, I was like, okay, I got to drop a leave day because I cannot be at work while this whole thing's going on.
because it was
So
epic. I mean,
yes,
it was. I thought it never would happen. House of L versus House of Zod.
Mhm.
First 3 weeks after Clan Wars has, or no, after our clans have started.
sure enough.
And there it was. It was. You can go back and listen to those episodes.
Yep. And for me, I got the 2 iPods sitting next to me, and they both pop up. And one's got you're at war with House of L. The other one pops up you're at war with House of Zod. So
That's what happened to me with my phone and my iPad. Because
Yeah.
I was in both clans too when
Right.
that happened. So, the Boaz stuff. What were you?
When I got there, he was just super nice, super friendly. And out of everybody in that clan, honestly, there's a few of them I remember, but he stood out the most. Just genuinely nice guy, and he enjoyed me going over there and being a bastard spying on everybody.
Uh,
So,
you
and
mean
going in there and screwing with the other clans and giving them doing what the leader of your Minnesota Knights used to do with the goblins and the wall breakers.
okay?
So, yep.
So, all right. So the matchups, you know, what do you think about everything coming up with the clan perks? How do you think? You haven't heard the podcast yet. I said to Boaz, and I said to you haven't heard this one either, but I said to Boneyard that I think it's going to be a factor.
Being able to get troops quicker, I like that. The thing on the very bottom where your troop upgrade, where if one of our town hall 8s gives us a level 5 archer, it's all of a sudden now it's a level 7 archer that they just gave you.
Yeah.
So that's huge, especially for filling war CCs. I think I think they fixed that problem by doing
everybody's awesome in House of L, I think, for filling war CCs. And I go in, I try to be doing my wizards, but you never have to worry about it.
No,
that's going to be a really good thing. The higher clan level with lower level, it's going to up the troop level of whatever you donate.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, if somebody's asking for a dragon, once you get to that perk 10, Town Hall 7s can give you a level 4 dragon for your clan castle. So,
and here's why it's going to make a huge difference, because the people that are requesting dragons are the ones that are using dragons to attack.
Yes. Yep.
So the Town Hall 7s and 8s who are going and burning things down in a war, you could, have the higher level dragon.
Sure.
I didn't even think about it that way.
Yep. Because to me that one's awesome. I like that, and the speed up we already got that where it's 15 minutes as far as getting the troop request now, and I'm quick on the trigger as far as kicking people out, and apologize for kicking the one guy out today. So
well, okay. So Matt is the guy I talked about, the Phantom Warlord, who he looks at performance and he really keeps an eye on that. Right. And he said, nope, he didn't do that. Boom. And it's not very strict rules.
Right.
Right. It's more like, okay, are you there talking? And
the talking is one thing. I mean, if they never say anything, then there's an issue. Because some people just don't like to chat. Some of them, I swear tonight was the first time I've ever seen Benny. Yeah.
Right.
But the terrible attacks, my buddy who spells chief the wrong way is back. So
okay.
I don't know if you noticed he's back or not. So.
Yeah, I did notice that.
But it's in
CHEIF.
Yes.
Gosh.
And the other guy today that I kicked his name was Dragon, and he spelled it GEN at the end of it. So,
and I think that was whose friend was it? It was Kaz's friend.
Yes.
I don't know how to pronounce the name.
Hell no.
Because it's in QAZ it works really nice down the keyboard.
Oh yeah,
QAZ.
It's extremely easy.
Yeah.
So the guy was all about the donation. The thing that you put out as far as the top donator gets this, and he didn't care that it was a war attack thing that I put up max golem, max wizards, and he just gave me level 5 wizards, and I said, why did you give me that? And he's like, look, I'm way up high as far as the donations. I was like, not when you go back to 0, and then I kicked him. So
what? Okay. You're like, whoa, no, counters just got erased.
And that's the one thing I do, and I'm not out to be mean or anything like that. It's kind of the South Park factor as far as if you watch South Park, if you watch an episode, you might laugh once or twice, maybe 3 times, but if you go and you try to tell somebody about it the next day, you tend to crack up when you're trying to discuss the thing that's so ridiculous.
Yeah.
And that's the one thing that I'm always shooting for with my humor with this, is that when I do something, it's not personal by any means. It's just I do it to be funny and to get other people riled up. And I don't know if you noticed, Sasquatch and Mailman both jumped in just saying, oh my God, you better listen to what Matt says.
Yes. And then I come in and I go, let's everybody calm down in here. Okay, guys, let him in on the joke.
Yeah.
You know.
Oh, yeah, oh yeah. Well, that's my favorite thing to do, and that's something I did from way back. When people would join, you never knew what they were up to before, and it was like, okay, who are we letting in here? Are we getting somebody here good or somebody here bad? Um, and that going back to that's pretty much why I started my second account, was to go and just be a complete asshole to this guy who came over to our clan and was just mean and nasty to us. And he,
Paybacks are a
yeah, I can go
bitch.
into that now,
The
or I can do that at
Phantom
a later time.
Warlord
But
stars in The Phantom Warlord Part 2. Paybacks a bitch.
I can go into that at a later time. The
Okay.
but yeah, there goes the
Okay.
train of thought. So
Oh, all right. So Payback's a bitch. So you went over on your second account?
yeah,
I was
then
imagining the movie poster. I got distracted too.
okay,
Okay.
well then you're gonna have a little bit of editing on that part there. Then I can go into that part right now if you'd like,
Yeah, go
as
for
far
it.
as what I did. Okay, so there was this. I had an unsearchable clan, and I don't know why. The clan that I was running before, I happened to find them just somehow. They were called the Warriors. I liked that cheesy ass 70s movie,
Oh
so
yeah.
I went over and I joined them because I the song "Rush to Town Hall 9." I swear that thing was about me.
Really?
I had discovered farming by the time I was listening to you guys, and it was I was big what's it called, I was beefing up my base quite a bit once I discovered that. But when I first started playing the game, I was like, oh, okay, I just need to keep, none of these buildings matter. I just need to get my base up as quickly as possible to get the best troops, because then I can take over and have the most trophies in the whole game. And
Okay.
I
No, but I
that's
totally get it. I totally get it.
and people playing now, that they have access to everything, and they've got the Clash Wiki and everything else like that, because Clash Wiki had just came out back in about December 2012, and it did not have that much info to it. Just trying to get, and I'm probably off on the dates on that,
No, yeah.
um, but not knowing what the hell to do, and I've got pictures of my base from back then, and it was awful.
Huh.
Um, so that's why the second account started. Um,
Okay.
I got my son an iPad for his birthday, and he had started up an account, but he was going to school, and I was on leave for a week back then too. Um, and he left during the daytime. I was like, okay, just let me. I know what I'm doing. Let me go in here and help you build this thing up. And I started playing with it, and that was in about March. So the account number two, which you know the name of, that was in March of 2013, and I just started beefing
Okay.
that thing up, and that's why that thing is to where it's at right now. And it is so much easier
And
to not
that's
rush your town hall and get the
yeah.
actual loot that you're supposed to get from town hall to town hall as you upgrade every single thing, except
Okay.
for walls,
So
Boaz.
let's come back to your upgrade order.
Right.
But I think little Mikey Crud speaks to the little town hall rusher in all of us. You
Oh
know.
yeah,
Um,
because
and
if
it
you make
was
that mistake, you're stuck.
and if you went back and started listening to the podcast and followed the advice, I mean, I'm talking within the last 2 weeks or like 6 months. You know, if you went
Right.
back to the very beginning and said, "Oh, these guys know what they're talking," you
Hmm.
probably didn't make it to this episode. But it was a completely different game back then.
Yes, it was. And
You know, so when you start talking about, you know, the wiki wasn't up there, you know, the information, the community really wasn't quite there, which, you know, where it
no,
is today.
no,
Like, you can find anything you want to know.
right. And when Town Hall Nines came out, and they came out with the expos and everything, and I was like, what the heck is that? And I was
I
Googling it,
have
trying to
to
figure out what
have
it
it.
was. Yeah, and I have to have it, and all they had was level 1 at the time too, and it was the best thing in the game. And you and Boneyard have touched on that before about avoiding that thing like the plague. So
The Expo?
yeah, back then, yes, avoiding
Yeah.
it like the plague.
And then
And
I
it got
watched this week my Giants just get hammered by the maxed out Expos for a long time.
right.
Way more than I thought, you know. Like
Yep.
and I think I've been with my attacks been focusing on the, you know, avoiding the Expos more than I should
Right.
because
Right.
they're not that really that powerful.
No, no, they're really not. I mean, the higher up they are, sure, but
But
the
if,
lower ones, yeah, they can't really dent a golem at all, and they struggle with the giants for sure. I mean, even like you just said, the higher up ones are struggling with the level 7 giants.
Yeah, and most of the time where they're positioned, the expos, they seem to be out farther now because of the infernos, like covering the bases.
Right.
And so you're only taking on, one at a time. And so so if you can get the giants and the other troops in there first and heal them before you get to the infernos.
Sure.
So they're like brand new.
Right.
Yep. That's what I'm seeing in normal attacks. And then I go to a war attack and everything changes. But
it seems to go way different. Yep. You're absolutely right about that.
You're probably factoring in storages and stuff too. Like nobody cares about that stuff in regular. I'm looking at loot. Maybe if I went for a town hall for the loot, I would win in a war.
Well, if you're excited about when they're hitting that thing instead of like, oh God, what's going to kill them when they're hitting it? Yeah, it might change your whole mentality towards it too.
Yeah, because that is my exact mentality most of the time I play the game.
Right.
The money.
Right. Yep.
Maybe I should think about the money instead of the stars. And win.
So back to my unsearchable clan, the Warriors. We were unsearchable. So if you left, you were gone. If you got kicked out, you still had that thing that said, okay, you could go click on it for a little bit of time and you could get back in. But besides using the
interesting.
I can't think of the name of it. The login for Apple.
Oh,
besides
the
Game Center account.
Yeah, Game Center.
Besides using Game Center, that was the only way back into the clan at all. And you had to have somebody else's Game Center that was in there. And I got quite a few loyal players in there, and they stuck around with me for the longest time. And then all of a sudden, my son's in the clan with me too, and he was a little bit younger back then. And we get this guy, and one of the things I like to do is screw with people with the two accounts. But this was before the second account. We would invite people over, and we'd be asses to them, especially if we were just trying to get some stronger players for the group. But this is before Clan Wars. And every now and then we get some that would come over and we'd get a good person. Every now and then we get somebody who's just an ass. And this guy that we picked up this one time, somehow he was just an ass. And we kicked him, and I think that's how he ended up getting back in from time to time. So we closed the place up. We realized where he kept going to because we started watching what he was doing. And so the second account was made, and I was like, okay, I need to get the clan castle up, and I need to make this thing a little bit stronger so that I can get into his group. Because I'm going to get in there, and I'm going to impress these guys. I'm going to make Elder, and I'm going to kick out every single person in this whole group. I don't care if I like them or not. And it took me, after getting into the clan, it took me all of about 2 days to get Elder. And it was perfect timing because this jackass left. He left, and he went back over to troll on my clan. Wow. At the time. So he's over there trying to join, and I tell everybody, I was like, don't accept him yet. Just wait. And everybody was pretty much sitting around watching it like it was a clan war, how people sit around and watch the clan wars now. I was given Elder by another guy in the group, and he once I got the Elder, I was like, hey, is anybody else on? And I just wanted to make sure that there was no other elders on because there's no co-leaders back then. I wanted to make sure there was no other elders on because I didn't want them.
That's good. That's good to say that because
I didn't want them making everybody else in the clan elders. So I went in there and I kicked every single person out because I said, "Is anybody on? Is anybody on?" And then somebody spoke up, "Hey, what the hell are you doing?" And I kicked him out next. And then I just kicked everybody from that point out. And that guy's over in my clan. Trying to join the Warriors. So after I've kicked everybody out, and there's about 4 people left, I let him join the Warriors, and I said, "Hey, douchebag, take a look over at your clan." I think I screenshot it. I think it's on my old iPad. I've got to go and dig and see if I can find that. And this guy, he just lost it. And so from time to time, I would go over to his old clan, which is still there, and I can go in there and join it. And there's one person left in there.
Really?
But I can go and join it, and I can find out where this guy is still. So, and I haven't checked in over 6 months or so, maybe 8 months.
Oh, man.
But he's everything points to he quit the game.
Can you imagine how many? As you said that, I'm thinking, if you search a clan, you see like one person in there. I go, okay, that's not the clan I'm looking for.
Right.
But
Oh,
how
no.
many people does create their own clan and die in their clan castle by themselves?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
I just
Especially
never thought of
when they're
that
done
before.
with it. So, but it's until I've filled that thing up with me joining, because he's left a long time ago. So until I fill it up with that, then I could always go back and take a look to see if this guy's in the game. But honestly, I
So
don't think
you, even
he's
after
not an issue
all
anymore.
of this time, you still got your tentacle in.
Not anymore, no. But I can
Yeah.
get in there at any time. It's
You
anybody
visit
can
his
join.
grave from time to time.
Yes.
Is basically what you're saying.
If you ever want to ask Wildstreak, I don't know how well he remembers it. The other guys,
I've seen you guys banter back and forth about it. You know, like about that guy.
Joker
And it's
2-1.
like this.
That's his name.
It's the what was it?
Joker 2-1.
Okay, who will never hear the podcast because he quit playing.
Yeah,
because of
for sure.
The Phantom Warlord. It's
that
like
was the only time where I had
Rising. You know, like okay, this is in the early days when I was forming my coalition.
Mm-hmm. Yep, but that was a lot of fun building a clan up, building the making the second account. I realized how much fun it was to go back and actually play the game the way it was supposed to be played as far as building it up. And I think that's why I've got the strong accounts that I've got, because I enjoy that part. I still enjoy that part. The farming at Town Hall 10.
I need to ask you about that. Okay, because this is what I asked Boneyard about, and it didn't quite occur to me about how he's playing, player one and how he's playing Boneyard.
Mm-hmm.
And, he talks a little bit about player one, but I'd never thought to ask him, what did you do different? Or what are you doing different with player one now when we got past like the Town Hall 7 stuff?
Mm-hmm.
It's like, okay, it's pretty clear. And then you have to like figure out if you're doing walls, more, or you defenses, and it gets more complicated because it takes longer.
I've got a tip for people that are doing walls, and I've stopped, and every now and then I'll say, okay, I've got all this stuff here, and I'm not farming anymore, but I've got all this stuff. Do I really feel like waiting another 3 days to get an archer tower going, or do I just want to sink it into walls right now? If you want to do walls and you want to feel like you're making progress, what I did back when, and this was when I was at Town Hall 9 with attacking lower bases, just trying to make any bit of money I possibly could. What I did is I would screenshot my base every single day, and then I would email it over to my computer, and then I would just go and I would flip through the screenshots after about 2 or 3 weeks just to see the improvement, that the progress it's made. And in doing that, you actually, it's like, okay, and it's like, okay, I want more done from my pictures that I'm going to take tomorrow. And I found myself getting my walls up to, because the goal before when it was level 5 wall breakers was getting them all to purple.
Yeah.
So,
well, that just makes me realize, yes, that it would be a good idea to have a new wall breaker. Anyways,
yes,
because you forget like when different walls, or whatever were introduced.
Mm-hmm. And the troop that you guys were talking about, if you guys ever do that again, I've got one. I was just lazy about it as far as getting you guys my troop idea, because mine is a different type of wall.
You did pick the winner, so what would you have said? And I'll tell you where if I would have put it in the top 3.
Well, if I mention it now, somebody else could take it. So, but then again, I could always.
You're on the air. It's obviously
okay,
yours. So for the next one, I'll just tell you if this one would be in my.
Okay. No name for him, but it would be a guy running. I'm thinking of like a Tron type character, because they pick shit from all kinds of different eras and everything. A Tron type looking character, and he's got this chargeable spear with him, and he runs and he hits it, and he runs and he charges it and he pokes it into the wall, and it starts to melt the walls around. It goes from there and it just starts melting the walls around. Any walls that are connected to it, they just start melting until the defenses take him out. So.
You would have probably won. A wall melting troop.
Yeah. So, because you've got the different dark troops, and everybody was mentioning
so the higher levels would just melt slower.
Yes. I don't know which one won. I like the stuff about the goblins, because nobody uses goblins. I love goblins. They are so much fun, especially, and everybody wants to go and barge to go and get everything that's in those collectors. But shit, if the funnest thing you can
Yeah. So,
possibly
so
do
you okay?
is
So you do goblin attacks. How do you do them? Or how do
I
you use
like
your goblins? You're the first
I
person that's ever talked about that on the podcast. Maybe you'll
and
get a
this
whole
goes
goblin following.
this goes back to what Boneyard had said a long time ago about using the jump spells and getting the goblins into the middle. I like getting all the way up into masters or even high. I haven't gotten up to higher than that yet, or into champion. But I like getting up into masters and then just gobbling people and 5 jump spells. It's just I call it the grain attack. 5 jump spells and goblins,
I've
and I
never
go in.
seen that.
And you just jump all the goblins through, and you can steal pretty much every single thing. There's going to be certain defenses that are just the mortars are just going to wipe them out, and the wizard towers are going to wipe them out. But if you got anybody who's sleeping on their base, and you can get their pumps and mines as well,
Okay,
you can make
whoa.
a ton.
Back up. All goblins and jump spells?
And jump spells, yes. Because you can jump them into the middle. The one thing that happens, though, is that, like I said, the wizard towers and the mortars, they can wipe you out.
Do
because
not tell Boneyard about this.
Well,
you know, do you remember the days when he was really greedy? He's like, I just want your gold. And now he just wants the war stars.
Right.
You know, so there's a difference. But, so 5. Okay, so how many? Oh, yeah, wow. And no heals or anything? It just goes right in?
No, just boost. Well, I don't even know if I was boosting the barracks back then, but I was doing this a lot back in.
Would be awesome.
I think it was right when they first came out with the multi-infernals, because this was December of 13 when I was doing this a lot, because I had the 240 troops then, and I got up pretty high, and it was during the boosted all the boosted pumps and mines from back during that Christmas, and I was going in there and I was racking up tons and tons and tons of stuff. And I went over and I joined Minnesota Nice. You guys had it was always closed. And it was invite only. And there's like one spot. So I just said, the hell with it, I'm gonna try and get in there. And the leader was just shocked as far as I think I had 2 expos going to max at the time, and I had an Inferno going to max and something else. Yeah. And he was just, he's like, how the hell do you have so much money going into these different upgrades right now? And it was just, I had been farming my ass off back then. But that's where having the multiple accounts, I felt like I constantly needed to do this stuff. And I burnt myself out big time.
Do you think the war attacks really, when the war started, that it pretty much said, okay, so farming isn't the point of the game anymore? Because if I know with Matt, you don't have a shield most of the time. And then we saw you for the first time with a shield, and I think somebody commented on it. Said that's the first time I've seen you with a shield in a while. Mm-hmm. And really, and then I thought to myself, I'm like, I don't remember the last time I saw him with a shield.
So you will hardly ever see Matt with a shield unless I'm out spying with Matt. My other accounts, I like to go on our Sunday night wars, especially when the season just starts. I'll go and I'll try and find 5 to 10 town hall 10s any town halls that are outside. And I'll try and go and get 10 wins right then. And then I go to a clan and I'll say, hey, I'm very active looking for a good war clan. Unless I happen to know, if they put down a city that they're in, if I've been stationed near it.
Go Bears!
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. You go over there and you bring up something that somebody from that place would know.
Are you guys in a war?
Yeah, and if they have random names of people in there too, I just go and I say, "Hey, I'm in the military, and I think I was stationed with this guy Jeff." And especially if they put
automatic.
Yes. The other thing is female accounts. They don't. Hey, I'm a Town Hall 7, and I'm looking for help. Can you guys help me?
So
you guys take girls.
You mean female named accounts?
Yes, a female named account.
Okay. And then am I thinking of who I'm thinking of?
The one you guys, you and Boaz did the one Nod podcast where you guys were talking, and I had you say hello to my wife. So.
Oh, okay. Oh yeah. Okay.
Yep.
Totally. All right. Because can you just, we talk about the Phantom Warlord, but I think about really like, and we brought it up, but the war that you, because you don't send one account necessarily. Sometimes
The clan Pittsburgh, they were saying, "Oh, we might get actually mentioned on the podcast," so I'll mention them.
okay,
The clan Pittsburgh, I just said to
yeah.
hell with it. I was stationed in Allentown, and when I
This
saw
is
we were up against Pittsburgh, it's about 4 maybe 5 hours away, I think. And I tell him, hey, I live in Allentown, and I think I know this guy in your clan, and I think I was stationed with him. Boom, I'm in, and then I try bringing over my Town Hall 9 account, and they took that one. And then I tried bringing over my one Town Hall 7 that you're very familiar with. They wouldn't take them. But then I said, okay, let me see if these guys just don't like.
probably because of the name.
Could be. But the as soon as I went and tried to join with my wife's named account, boom, I was in with that one. So
There's a
that one,
girl in the clan.
exactly.
Everybody, pick this place up.
And that was, I had a lot of fun with that one because I let myself be outed in there 3 times. And the final straw that I did to him was I made a base, my war base, and I changed it all up because I had my Town Hall 9 still with him, and I changed my war base to with the walls I spelled Phantom Warlord with it, and then I left. So
Yes. Which you could, I think, see on Twitter, maybe, if I
and I
remember it.
It might be, and I went in. The other thing I did too was I went in, and they had the war season because I'm part of their next war with them because that's how long I stayed. I was able to donate, and I, I was a complete ass with this. When I went in there and I put down that I wanted a dragon, they gave me a dragon. I deleted it and I said I want war wizards, and they gave me those. I deleted them, and I want a witch, and then I
I've
put a
never
post up
heard
there.
of this. This
And
is the first time I've ever heard of that. Like going to
I've
another
got
clan and stealing their war troops so
and
they can't make enough money, during the war. No, that's like killer. That's priceless. That is
but
the
I also
Phantom Warlord move right there.
and then after I did that and they gave me the witches, I deleted those and I put a post, stop giving me wall breakers and goblins. I know I'm new here, but stop doing this. And I gave everybody else in the clan that had open request, I gave them all wall breakers and goblins. And and they said, who the hell is doing it? And I said, oh, and then one of the guys said, well, the Phantom Warlord is probably still here because they were all pissed because I had already duped them twice. And and then
Can I please
and I,
go
and I
war
said, yeah,
now?
they gave them to me too. I keep having to delete them. And anyways, yeah, I left soon after that, and then I changed my
Wow.
war base over to Phantom Warlord, and I was gone. So
So, Phantom Warlord story that I've really wanted to hear was the one where you got a guy kicked out, and this was just a couple wars ago.
that, yeah,
Or is
I
that
have
a
to go back
different
and look
one?
at that. There's the one with Boneyard where that one there they had a young guy who was just chatting way too much, and it was just so easy, and that was the war where I think it could have been where I was telling him, hey, since the last update, if you put healers behind the dragons, they heal the dragons. And a lot of times when I'm going and posting this stuff, it's for the fans. It's because they've all listened to this stuff and they've heard Boneyard make a mistake with doing it. So it's like, okay,
Yeah,
Boneyard made a mistake. It was funny when we were listening to it, but it'd be even funnier if I bring it
see
up,
it.
take a screenshot of the chat. But it'll be priceless if these idiots actually go and do it. And I told everybody in our chat, I was like, I just told these guys to attack, and I think this was when I was over with Zod, and I said I just told these guys that dragons work with the healers now, and and sure as shit, within 20 minutes there was somebody who did it, and the healer just stood still. This guy must not have had heroes or anything else like that. The healer just stayed still, and dragons went in and got wiped out. And the healer never moved at all. And then it just ended battle. It didn't even stay on because the healer was just sitting there. It just ended battle. So,
You know
but
what though? Okay, remind me to come back to the healer standing still later
mhm.
on. Okay, keep going.
the
'Cause-
but there was a guy in there that was just chatting up way too much, and that clan happened to be called the Baltimore Ravens. Um, I'm from Maryland. I'm very familiar with how Baltimore is set up, and anyways, I went right over there and just mentioned some stuff about Maryland and everything, and boom, I was in, no problems. And I started telling everybody in Zod, bring this up. Tell them you live over in Montgomery County. Tell them you live in Prince George's County. Tell them you live here. Tell them you have a house out in Ocean City. And they started doing that. And then next thing I know, we had at least 4 people from Zod in the clan, including player 1. Boneyard was just, he was being straight up nasty to him. And that was cracking me up. Somebody else came over and then somebody else was coming over and they were doing my type of deal where it was just prodding and poking at them and just having fun exploiting them. And there was a kid in there who just kept asking, how old are you? And what are you doing? And how are you doing? And it was just, it just felt like this really weird kid, but nobody else was chatting at all. And then all of a sudden, I told everybody over in the Zod chat, I said, okay, I'm going to mention that this clan has a podcast and they've got the Phantom Warlord. Just go along with it and make it sound like this is the most evil person you ever heard of. And they started going along with it. And we convinced this guy, I want to say kid, we don't know how old he was, but we convinced this kid over there to that their number 2 or number 3 player who messed up his first war attack, that was definitely the Phantom Warlord from the podcast, and he had gotten in there somehow ahead of time, and that he was screwing with them. He was ruining every war form. And I looked for somebody who was new to the clan as well, and he was new, but he was in the war, so there's no chance he was spying on them. And anyways, the sure as shit, within a matter of about 5
You're
5 to 10
making a
minutes,
revolution.
this guy was kicked out of the clan, and this guy had no idea. I have no idea what was in his kick out message or anything else like that. So,
oh man.
And one of the more recent wars, I think I was kidding about kicking people out, but it was I was in there and I was spying on them, and somebody challenged me. They said, "Oh, I bet you can't get Elder." And I said, okay, challenge accepted. And I go in there and I tell them that, I'm in the military and I've done some recruiting and everything like that. And I could help boost the clan up and I could help get some of my better players from my old clan here. And sure as shit, I'm an elder. So
my ultimate Phantom Warlord challenge is for you to become the leader of another clan.
If we did a 10 on 10, I could probably pull that off. It depends on the people in the group and how trusting they are. Because if they've been burnt ever by anybody, then they're not going to do it. But
you haven't heard this yet especially because we just recorded it last night. But I said, what if we were doing on the weekends, like every so often, we did a TH8 challenge.
Okay.
And so everybody besides the THHs opted out.
Okay.
Of the war. And then the next weekend war, we did a TH9 challenge.
Okay.
And then we did a TH10 challenge.
Sure.
Wouldn't that be kind of cool to
I think
ways
that would
to do something different?
I think it would be great. I like exactly what you're saying. I think our guys could step up and actually do some damage with that. I'd be scared for the Town Hall 8s if they get matched up against a whole bunch of Town Hall 10s.
Well, I was just thinking about everybody competing against everybody in a way.
Sure.
You're doing most stars that you get versus
how many?
I didn't think about when you attack. Do you wait till the end? You could kind of do okay, here's how we, and I'm me, obviously I'm not super competitive. I'm you know what, we're going to probably win this, just, we're going, you're the guy that says, okay, this guy's not performing.
Right.
Brings it to, brings it to my attention or whatever, or you take decisive action.
Right.
But I think wouldn't it be kind of cool to
think about it in
some of the different ways to do something okay, here's how we can, now with the opt-out thing. This is kind of a different thing.
I think Stretch would love that. And I think he would be awesome as far as leading that too. As far as if we put him as the leader of that war for sure for the Town Hall 8s. So
okay.
Yeah, I like that a lot.
Cool?
Would you want to do Town Hall 10s first and then work our way down just so they see what we're doing? Or would you want to go from the bottom and work our way up?
Yeah, but how would you do that? How would you? So you do okay. So defense stars versus. So would you factor that in too? Like so, it's like it's about us,
okay, right?
And maybe the war win maybe comes up. I don't know. Like because what if it's an uneven match, right?
Sure.
Then you go, well, how'd you play the strategy? Did you defend if everybody got 3-starred except for
right?
I don't know. What do you think? I just think it was kind of a cool idea. Like
I do too. I like it. However you guys want to run
match.
that, I've got you.
House of L death match.
Yep. Unfortunately, that's the one thing I don't have is a Town Hall 8, so I can't help participate as far as one of the 8s.
Yeah, but we should do that. I think
Yes.
I think that would be a really cool like new type of competition because this is the first time you could do it.
Right.
So yeah.
Yeah,
So maybe
I
the
like that,
weekend
and
war.
especially if we set the numbers to match up with if we can get all of them to set the numbers to match up to where there's 10 Town Hall 8s in every single one of the family that all hit and they all hit the button at the same time. We might get matched up against one of them.
Well, how about this? What if we had like a 35 to 40 person war clan?
Mm-hmm.
We start the same time. And then we do the contests. Well, no, I guess that wouldn't work because it would have to rotate.
Right.
To see. But, who gets into this next war?
Right.
Of the 40, or the 45. I don't know. Damn.
I think you guys made it simple, and that's what you should go with as far as the Town Hall 8s. You do those, and we just got to do the numbers up as far as how many does Zod have, how many does L have, how many does Ken have, and just take it from there. And then everybody hit the button at the same time.
Hey, everyone. We are going to stop the podcast here, and I will bring you the other half of the interview with the Phantom Warlord very shortly. So keep it clashy, everybody. Get a hold of us at clashofclanspodcast@gmail.com, clashofclanspodcast.com, at WBSMT Radio on Twitter, and you can always give us a call at 424-27-CLASH. So keep it clashy. Skilly beep 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 skilly beep.